Okay, so about the brushes, I want to explain how to use some of my brushes from the True Watercolor brush set. So I already have the illustration and we're gonna use it because we need something to be painted on a canvas. And now I want to tell what my brushes can do with this. So for example, I can go and grab the questions that I got is about Boo Pure Water brush, and this brush imitates a real water. So we already have our illustration. We are on a layer where we have our painted flamingo, and if we grab the brush and if you press and drop it, we don't need to have any color actually on it. This brush helps you to imitate the water drop. So if you want to create some realistic look, you see that it can help you to blend some of the edges. This brush is perfect. So once again, doesn't matter which color you have, this brush helps you to blend the colors, helps you to get this like watercolor look, authentic one. Like for example here. So we might blend the sharpest lines, blend the edges, like that. Very similar brush is Boo Moonstone Splashes. Here, what color we pick, it matters. This brush helps you to add some kind of shades. So you see when we add shade, and shades are very soft. So the color is, as you see, barely seen. Of course, if you want to have like more opaque, if you want to have more shades, of course you might grab the color, grab darker color and put it on the top. The other option, what you can do, you create one more layer on the top, move to multiply blending layer mode. For example, grab this dark pink color, and when you start adding the color, you see it's pretty dark. So thanks to multiply blending layer mode. Okay, about other brushes. Let me think. I like Boo Sharp Amethyst because it helps us to add some kind of lines, and the lines are pretty sharp. It's like sometimes when you grab watercolor, like grab brush with some color in it, and sometimes it's not enough water, so you might have these gaps, you see, like this one. So it imitates pretty thin brush stroke. We have so many stem brushes that can help you to add some texture if you want. Once again, you might put it here. Also, it works perfectly with clipping mask. I'll tell you what is it. So, for example, I want to create one more layer in between. I also move it to multiply blend layer mode. And then I'm gonna press clipping mask, clip it. So I clip the layer. And then I grab one of the stem brushes, for example, Watercolor Stamp 5, and I just tap, ding, ding, ding. And it looks pretty lovely, and also thanks to clipping mask, you don't go beyond the lines, like this. And also, if you don't like multiply, you might go to another layers, like for example, color burn, creates very lovely effect, like that one. So you might play with blending modes. Okay, what else? Now let me show you briefly brushes that I have. I also have some updates. Okay, let's return to the updates. I want to go to multiply because it helps me to blend the color into our picture. So I go to watercolor splashes, and it just helps you to add some imperfect touches. Like for example, when you mistakenly or maybe intentionally add some color on the top of your painting. And here I have just different types of these splatters. I like this one because they add pretty lovely touches like this. Okay, what else do we have? Boo Salt. This brush you might use as like a brush itself, or another option, you might use Boo Salt as an eraser. So what you should do in this way, just long tap on eraser, and here we use Boo Salt as an eraser. We need to return to our layer where we have our illustration, and just be careful and just tap gently, and you see because we use this brush as an eraser, we might get this lovely effect. When you press too hard, you see you have very thick, very dense color. So my suggestion, press gently. Here you see it has very lovely salted texture. So this is in case if you want to have some salted effect on your art. Like this. Okay, what do we have? Ding, 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 ding. I'm gonna undo everything what I did because I want to keep this picture in a way how it was. Okay. So now we created one more layer on the top. Like I told you, we moved to multiply blend in layer mode like this. And here I will tell you how to use my brushes, what are the main options and so on. Okay, wait. Still, we have erasers and we have blenders. Let me duplicate this layer. So in this case, I don't need to return to the original layer. And here I'm going to use BooSoft Amber Eraser. Like what I told you before, you might long tap or you might go to the eraser and just move to this part. So you're going to use, so as you see, guys, this is eraser. You don't use it as a brush. You might press gently and you can gently erase the parts that you might not like this. So you still keep this lovely watercolor textures that don't disturb your art. Like this. Ding, ding, ding. So another option, we have BooSoft Barrel Eraser. This brush is a little bit like it's softer and you need to press harder in order to erase some pigments. Once again, if you don't want to erase too much, this brush is perfect. You see, maybe if you have too dark shade, so you grab this brush and it helps you to erase it. Okay, next, Boo Transparent Jade Eraser. This eraser is more visible and it has rough edges. You see, I very like this eraser. So also it helps you to get, for example, this look when you add the water and it spreads to your watercolor. Like this. Okay, yeah, now we have blenders. So when we go to blender, like I told you, long tap, and we grab Textured Emerald Blender. Now you will see what we have when we blend it. You need to blend in a circular shape. And this is very soft blender. You see, you don't have any rough edges, anything. It just softly blends all the colors together. Okay. Boo Sapphire Splash Brush and Blender. Guys, oh wait, I forgot about Gem Eraser and Blender. So this brush you might use as an eraser and as a blender as well. I like it because it helps you to get these rough edges. You might see. You see here, thanks to this blender, you might grab and have pretty obvious blending lines. Like this. Okay, the brush that I like a lot. This is the Sapphire Splash Brush and Blender. So here, if you want to blend something, let's increase the size. It helps you. It looks like pure water, but here you don't use it as a. You use this brush as a blender, not as a brush when you want to blend something. And still, pure water takes more color. I like this blender because it's pretty soft and also it takes some color, but at the same time you still have like some amount of color that stays on your art. So very lovely blender. Once again, depending on your style, you might choose some other blenders or you might like another blenders, not the one that I like. So it's up to you. Also, this brush you might use as a brush as well. Let me show you. Here. So grab the color. So when you start adding color, you actually get very soft and gentle lines that you put on the top. My suggestion to use this brush in multiply blend layer mode. So when we create one more layer on the top and we add the color, you see it's darker. And when you want to add like some gentle shades to your art, you will use this brush. And another thing, if you press harder, you will have more pigment. And if you go like second layer, if you don't lift your Apple Pencil from the screen, you see you might go like again to the painting where you started. When you return back, you see you just wash the color that is inside and you still have some lines in the edges. This is perfect because it helps you to reach authentic watercolor look. Like that. So you just play with the colors, play with the brushes and see what works perfectly for you. So once again, like I just add the color here. You see, this is like the color without any like returning back. But when we add this color and now we return, like here I press harder, and you see when I press harder I have more pigment. But okay, so we were talking about moonstone splashes. This is very gentle shader, so it matters which color you use, but thanks to this color, you see it's very gentle. So if you want to add shades, if you want to do it gently, just grab this brush and use it in a multiply blending layer mode. Okay, let's remove it. And here, if you want to create one more layer, let's turn off our illustration, and now I will show you what are the main brushes that I use. My favorite one is BooColorful Opal and Boo Opal. This brush is cool because it helps you to get a little bit different color variations, you see, when you draw with this brush, and also thanks to the edges, it has this like lovely, also watery edges. So if you want to have like different shades, if you want to have like slightly different shades, you might grab this brush. Another brush is Boo Opal. It doesn't have these color variations. It has a little bit more more defined, if you might say so, edges, and I use this brush mostly as my main brush if I want to draw something. Boo Essential Onyx, also very lovely brush, but it's more opaque. I also like to use it. I like the sharp lines, and if you like more opaque, yeah, less transparent watercolor, you also might use this brush. This brush is also pressure sensitive. If you press harder, you will have thicker stroke. Boo Sharp and Soft Diamonds, this brush is great if you want to maybe draw background, because you see it has very little bit tilted tip of the brush, and I mostly use it to paint some background because it has this watery texture here, which is very lovely. So if you need to draw some background, this brush I think looks perfect. You might go to curves, make it lighter, make it darker, yeah. If you want to change hue, you might go to hue, saturation and brightness and think about hue. You might lower the saturation, you might lower the brightness, increase the brightness, so it's up to you. And next. Okay, here we had Boo Pigmented Ruby. This is our original brush, which is very lovely. And here when you start painting, you see you have very dark tip, but like little by little, if you keep drawing, you will have like less and less pigment. It imitates real watercolor, where you just grab some color and after like you don't have color, but you have water. And this brush imitates exactly this feeling. If you draw in a circular shape, you see it helps you to preserve some color. Very lovely and semi-transparent brush. I also created very similar brush, but this brush is more opaque, because I think sometimes we need more opaque color, not that transparent, so I created a new brush, this one. So if you want to have darker shades, go ahead and grab this brush. Also, what I like about the brush, because when you start adding some color, it helps you, you see it mixes colors together. Let me show you. Example, we grab blue, ting, 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 ting. No, not this one. Let's take more opaque color and let's grab yellow. And here, when you grab Boo Pigmented Ruby, this one, and you start painting, and you are mixing colors, you see we have like some kind of mixture of colors together. And I think it looks lovely. If you want to grab like third color, look the way how they mix together. Here we have purple color. Very lovely. So play around and you see you might create completely new colors when you use this brush. Boo Asian Agate brush, oh, I like it so much because it has this toothy effect. Like I told you, when we grab the color like real watercolor, but it's a little bit too dry, so our line is not that like perfect. Boo Sharp Amethyst, like we have more water, and I usually use this brush as some detailer or as a sketcher as well. It looks good. And here we have lots of steps. Like I think this is final touches, like what I showed to you, like when we had the illustration, use it in a clipping mask, blend in layer mode. If you want to create some abstract illustration, you go ahead, you still can do it. You might use those stems and create some backgrounds. For example, like we're gonna grab this stamp and we can extend it a little bit. Of course, if you extend it too much, the size, you see the quality might be a little bit not perfect. But what you can do in this way, you might go to sharpen and just sharpen a little bit, and the edges, the line looks like they look good. I don't use it as backgrounds. I tend to use it like to add some splashes. Also, those brushes, you see they're pressure sensitive. If you press lighter, you have very thin, like very pale color. If you press harder, you will have pretty thick stamp. Okay, that was my explanation about True Watercolor brushes, how to use it. I hope now everything is clear and you have some ideas and some inspiration how to use those brush sets. If you have any questions, please go ahead and leave a message and I will be happy to help you.